This is Google Chrome. You may have heard of it. It's arguably Google's most recognised piece of software besides Google Search itself. But that may be about to change. You see, on August the 5th, 2024, the Department of Justice of the United States of America won a landmark antitrust case against Alphabet, Google's parent company, who were convicted of holding an illegal monopoly over online searches. Many different outcomes for the case are being speculated on as we speak, but one of the biggest has to be the prospect of Google having to sell Google Chrome. This would undoubtedly deal a hammer blow to Alphabet and would change the tech landscape as we know it. So to explain this, I've put together a list of 5 major impacts that such a sale could have on the browser and search engine market and the tech industry as a whole. And make sure to stick around until the end, because point 5 is crazy big. First of all, what does this mean for Google? Google's flagship product, Google Search, holds roughly 90% of the search engine market and represents more than half of Google's revenue, to the tune of $175 billion in 2023. This insane cash cow is heavily dependent on one thing though: browsers. It's a known fact that most people, when given a default option, stick to that option. So, in order to keep the cash flowing, Google needs to ensure that plenty of browsers use its search engine as the default. As it stands, they've been succeeding at this, with Chrome taking up 67% of the browser market, to which we can add another 23% from Safari, Firefox and Opera, all of which are paid by Google to default to Google Search. But it's these exact deals that prompted the DOJ to take the big G to court in the first place, and the penalty they're aiming for involves a total ban on such practices. This would knock Google down to control of only 67% of the browser space that's occupied by Chrome. But if the DOJ succeeds in forcing the sale of Chrome, then Google would be completely knocked out of the browser industry, and this number would drop to 0. The point being that with 56% of their revenue in danger, Google will obviously try to make their search engine so good that everyone wants to use it. And I almost said that with a straight face. What they're most likely to do is to take drastic action to scrape together as much revenue as possible in order to please their shareholders. This will undoubtedly make using Google services more annoying for everybody, and would surely impact content creators such as myself. So if you want to help me out, consider hitting that like button and subscribing. Shameless self-promotion aside, let's look at point 2. Android would definitely be the next in line for a shake-up if Google was forced to sell Chrome. Since Chrome is currently pre-installed and non-deletable on most Android devices, the browser being sold would result in a serious shift in the power dynamic of Android. As it stands, Google makes deals with various manufacturers to allow them to use Android for free in exchange for various perks for Google, including their browser and some other services being installed by default. The sale of Chrome messes up this otherwise neat system. Chrome's new owner would have to wriggle their way into some sort of deal with Google and mobile device manufacturers, and might not always succeed for a variety of reasons, including potential restrictions imposed by the DOJ. As a result, we could expect to see a rise in the market share of other browsers on Android, as manufacturers may be given free rein to put their own default browser on these devices. And speaking of other browsers, what will happen to those based on Chromium? It's no secret that most browsers used today are based on the free and open source project Chromium, which is heavily supported by Google, the only notable exceptions being Safari and Firefox. But with Google barred from the browser race, they would be completely disincentivized to contribute to its development. Apple definitely doesn't care, which leaves Microsoft as the only other large corporate backer for the project, since their browser, Edge, is based on Chromium. But I wouldn't put it past Microsoft to find a way of ditching Chromium just to deal a blow to such browsers as Brave, Opera, etc. by leaving Chromium with no large driving force, forcing Opera and Brave, which are much smaller companies, to put more resources into its development, which would ultimately stretch them quite thin. And yes, Chromium being free and open source means it wouldn't just die. But let's be honest, consumer FOSS doesn't exactly have a reputation for being an organised industry-leading powerhouse. So I think we can all agree it's been a while since anything really new appeared in the browser space. Since the end of the second browser war in 2017, which saw the victory of Google Chrome, it's been all quiet on the Western Front. But now a storm is brewing that may kick off a full-scale escalation that would see browsers become a focus point in the tech industry again. I'm of course talking about the rise of AI. Wait, don't click off, hear me out. I know a lot of people are sick of hearing about AI, myself included, but while the field has many problems, something I touch on in this video which you should definitely watch next, it does have some good points. Notably, summarization of large amounts of text. You know that handy text box that pops up when you Google something? With an AI-powered browser, that kind of thing can always be available, even if your search is a bit weird. Now, Brave has already got their own AI built into Brave Search, and OpenAI is considering making their own browser. So, within the next few years, we can expect to see a massive AI race with everyone trying to put AI in the browser to get an edge on the competition. Now, this may have many negative implications for websites, such as those ad boards, recipe websites, and would also be an excellent propaganda tool for the highest bidder. But ultimately, I'm not here to say whether this will be bad or good, only that it promises to shake things up. But here's the part you've all been waiting for. Let me take you back to 2011. Among other things, one of that year's major events, at least in the tech world, was Google's entry into the PC market with the release of the first Chromebook. The idea was to make a computer that's cheap, lightweight, has good battery life, and is super secure. And this is achieved by having bare bones hardware and a lightweight Linux-based system built around, say it with me, Chrome. Chromebooks started as nothing more than a portal to the internet via the Chrome browser. And while they have since evolved to be useful for other offline tasks, Chrome is still a huge part of their inner workings and market identity. If Google is forced to sell Chrome, then would Chromebooks survive? Maybe they will be sold off with the Chrome browser, what with the two being so inextricably linked. Either that or a massive rebranding and system modification would have to take place. And when the dust settles, would it really be the same? In any case, Google may be forced to double down on their hardware as a hub for the plethora of Google services that, without Chrome, would find themselves completely homeless, or Chromeless. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments and make sure to like and consider subscribing. I'm trying to get to 10k by the end of the month, so if you want to help me on this epic journey, smash that button down below. If you want to see another epic journey I'm undertaking, take a look at the video on the left, and until next time, I'm definitely not a lizard. Goodbye.